Hey guys, welcome back to Maxplained, Dawn of War Unification. Today I have another faction guide for you, this time for the Necrons. Necrons are kind of your undead factions. They are undead machines, basically, can resurrect and stuff. So in a fantasy setting it would be your more or less typical undead units. There are, from the theming, a little Egyptian themed, like pyramids, obelisks and all that stuff. Have a unique resource system, and that they only have one resource. Basically they only have power, and they have a lot of mechanics on how to interact and where the units come from and stuff like that. Everything I will of course explain to you in the save game. And here we are in the save game, where we see everything in one file swoop. But as usual, before we look through every unit and stuff in detail, we look over here to the resources and unit caps. And yeah, in the resources we already see the special thingy about Necrons, and the first one is the so-called time bonus, and the second one is power. We start with power because it's easier. Power is the only resource Necrons generate. They generate 10 power from their HQ and can build I forgot, up to 15 or a lot of power generators with their builders. They increase in price by 25 for each you have. The first one is actually free, and it is not only the price that increases, but also the building time. I have a little graph for you here to show a little incline, so it's actually exponential. The more you have, the longer it takes. This has also the implication that if you lose a generator, it doesn't matter if it was the first or second one, you still have to pay the price for the next one, and as much as you already have. So let's say you built your first 3 plasma generators for 0 power, 25 and 50 power. You spend 75 power. But if you lose one, you have to pay again the 50, because you have already 2. So replacing your generators is really expensive. So the holy grail that every Necron player is trying to how should I say, protect as good as they can is their generators, because it's their eco. This has also the upside for them that they are not as bound to map control as other factions are, so you can total back a bit in tier 1, maybe even tier 2, but there are other mechanics that will force you on the map. I mean, of course there's like take and hold and stuff, but I will touch the other stuff later on. Then you have also the thermoplasma generator, which produces only 30 power instead of the usual 40 that other factions have. So just to keep that a little more balanced, I think, because the Necrons, if they get too much resources, they can throw too much stuff at you. So the balance about it is that you have to work with limited resources. The good thing about it is also that you do not have to juggle the resources, so to speak. So let's say, do I need more requisition, do I need more power, or I have way more power but I don't need it. You have only one resource. If you have it, you can use it. And now the time bonus. There are some stuff that for Necrons are free. I told you the first plasma generators, the first units, the Necron warriors are free, your builders are free, but they take time, and they take actually quite a long time to build if you do not have this time bonus. The time bonus is a bonus that applies to your unit production, reinforcement rates and researches. So add-ons like your tier upgrade add-ons, your listening post add-ons or your turret add-ons are not affected by it. They have a set time for it, but everything else basically gets a bonus to it. And the bonus is not 100% as it states here. The 100% means how much percent are you to the maximum bonus, basically. The maximum bonus is 66%. So 100% actually means you have a 66% production, research and reinforcement bonus. Each obelisk and critical location. The obelisk is your listening post, and critical location captured give you plus 15% to this bonus, which is in reality a 10% bonus in production, research and reinforcement. So each point gives you basically a 10% bonus in all these stuff. So these are very important, because the production time for some of the units gets really long if you are long in the game. That's about the resources. That's the resource system they have. And the unit caps are also a bit special. It's a normal vehicle cap and squad cap, but your starting caps are 8-2 instead of the standard 10-0. 20-20 is again the maximum. And how you do increase it, it's also the obelisk. Each obelisk increases the squad cap and vehicle cap by +3. So you need quite a lot of obelisks to get to your maximum cap and the vehicles, actually 6. And most maps do not have 6 uncontested points. Like this map, for example, has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 1 contested. So here you could get up to 20. But yeah, in Unification you also have, of course, the Titan production building, which also provides +4, I think, in the vehicle cap, so you get easier to the maximum of 20, even in the if you have a long skirmish, basically. And I think that's about the unit caps. So we now can start with the buildings, and the buildings are cool. You have your primary production building is the Necron monolith, which is your HQ, which produces some resources, gets your first builder units, which are also your capper units, and basically in vanilla it's basically 90% of the units you can produce you get from the monolith. In Unification it's a little bit different, but here you have all your basic units. You have your basic infantry, you have your commander, you have your tier 2 anti-vehicle units, basically all stuff over here, some vehicles as well, and you of course can upgrade it to the restored monolith, what it's called. This is the dormant or whatever monolith. Then you have the awakened monolith, the engaged monolith, and later on it transforms basically to your tier 4 unit, the restored monolith. We need a relic for it and 1000 power. Don't get confused in this mode I have. You will still have the monolith, but normally this will fade away and then this will store, so will be there. So imagine this not being there. So the restored monolith then turns into a vehicle which also can still produce everything you have and can teleport. So I will teleport it over to the vehicles over here, so we can later talk about it when you are at the vehicles. But it's your HQ turns into your relic unit. Yeah, then you have a lot of other buildings for your tech progression. You have your summoning core, your greater summoning core, and your energy core. Your summoning core is basically the lock behind tier 1.5. Enables some new units and has some researches that I have already researched here, most of it, that increases the capability of your Necron warriors, which is your bread and butter unit. There are 2 special ability researches for them which increase their range and damage. The second one only the damage, I think. And you have Awakened Necrodermis, which increases the regeneration rate, and I think, yeah, advanced reanimation protocols, because most of your infantry can resurrect, and this upgrades, there are 2, can increase the chances basically for them to be reanimated. Also some regeneration is locked behind tier 2 and further, and there's also upgrade for your tier 4 vehicles here, I think. Then you have the greater summoning core, which is basically your tier 2.5 building, which is in vanilla this was just a building to have it, basically there was nothing about it. But in Unification you have now these various, mostly vehicles here, but also the Deathmarks and the Score Pack Destroyers are infantry kind of units. So it's an additional production building for Necron, so they are not as reliant on the Necron monolith once they have it. In vanilla you would see that at some point in longer games Necron players would build a second monolith to keep up the production. Here you can kind of circumvent it by having the greater summoning core. Then the Necron monolith is more or less quote-unquote cheap way to get more income, because the income from generators will decay. You see it only +8 here. In your HQs the resources do not decay, so you could see it as a long-term investment in terms of power. In normal one-on-one skirmishes you rarely see it, almost never. And then you have the energy core, which is basically sorry, your tier 4 unlock. So this is directly tier 4 if you build it, similar to, like, say Dark Eldar with their what's it called, their soul cage thingy. But it also has 2 researches here, one for your Necron Lord, which enables them to turn into the Catan gods, and one for one of your late game aircraft units. The Forbidden Archive is special. It's a building you can build in tier 1, and it has these artifacts, it's called. These are upgrades, researches only for a Necron Lord, which enable various abilities, which I will talk once I'm at the Necron Lord. So you can get up to 3, and but they are tier locked. In tier 1 you can only get these first 4, I think. Yeah, the pulse is tier 1.5, and then you get more. But they are definitely favorites that you would go over other ones. And yeah, your last production building is the Subspace Spire, which is your Titan production building. It builds your 2 Titans, your tier 1 and tier 2 Titan over here. In terms of defense, you have your listening posts. Listening posts are specially obelisk. The base obelisk does not have a weapon. Oops. And the first upgrade of the obelisk does not have automatic fire, but it has this ability, which does a big knockback and AoE damage on it, but has a cooldown, and you need to manually use it. So it's a little more micro-intensive, but has the upside that it does really good damage and disruption on it. And if you upgrade it once more, you get this little bubble over here that shoots automatically, and you still can use the ability, of course. It does not friendly fire. Then you have the turret, and oh my god, the Gauss turret is in vanilla the best turret in the game. In Unification it is second or similar to the Imperial Fists turret, because it has such a large range. It has a larger range than your normal turret. It outranges listening posts even with add-ons, and does very good damage to infantry. If you upgrade it in tier 2 to the, what is it called actually, the heavy Gauss turret, it does damage to all targets pretty well. And that's something I see that some newer players, they build some turrets maybe in tier 1, maybe 1 turret, maybe 2. Don't overspend on turrets, of course, but they do not upgrade it. If you're a tier 2, immediately upgrade it. It's so worth it, and it will pay dividends. They have the specialty, because they are so good and can be built anywhere right away without restriction in tech, because and you can only have 4 per HQ, so that's the downside basically. And then you have this little pylon over here, and the pylon has big AoE damage. The range isn't the greatest, but it's tier 3 locked, and you can only have 1 per HQ, so that's normally a survival unit building. You rarely or never see it in skirmish. For economy, I already have told you about the Thermoplasma Generator and Plasma Generator. Plasma Generator, of course, has 2 upgrades in tier 2 and tier 3 to upgrade your income even more. It looks very expensive, the upgrades, but they have the upside that they cannot be killed. So a generator can be killed. If you have to upgrade, all your existing generators produce more, and even your HQ in that sense. And you do not need to have builders building it. So at some point, this upgrade is actually faster than having builders building up your generators. So the upgrade is better than it looks basically. One last building I haven't mentioned is this pyramid over here. You need the Necron Dynasty's victory condition enabled, and this turret pyramid enables you to get 1 of 6 dynasties, which I will talk later about what they do. Basically the last thing in the unit overview here. And it can turn your Necron Lord in one of the Lords once. You can put your Necron Lord basically inside, and then depending what dynasty you have chosen, he turns into their Dynasty Lord, or what is it called? Pharaons? Don't quote me on that. So basically, you get this only once, then you have to rebuild it manually. And you can only have either the Necron Lord or those, but I will talk later about it as well. But I think... Did I forget something about the buildings? About the generators. I've showed you the graph for the generators already, I think, So, let's talk about your units. And before we go about the units themselves, I said there's this overarching concept of reanimation. And basically all infantry you see here, apart from the pariahs, because they're from the lore, they're actually humans made into whatever. These cannot reanimate. All the other stuff you see here has a chance to reanimate. Some have bigger, some have a lower range in reanimation. And your commander and your builder cannot reanimate. And of course, I think there's one vehicle that can reanimate, but most cannot. Let's talk about your one and only commander basically you have. It's the Necron Lord, and you say, oh, it's only one commander. The Necron Lord is the most versatile and durable commander if you have him around all in the game. Basically, it's such a nuisance to take him down. He's very mobile, not only on movement speed wise compared to other Necron units, but he can also teleport right from the get-go, which is a big upside. Here you see the campaign loadout, because I have here War Gear enabled. He will not look like this in your skirmish game and has less HP and stuff. But the campaign loadout with the Hero War gives him detection, range damage resistance, movement speed increase, all the good stuff. And yeah, he gets various abilities from the Forbidden Archive. So if I click one of these, he will get the ability, passive or active. But I will first talk about abilities, and I can only show here 3. The rest I will talk what they do. You have the Chronometron. Is basically, if you use it, you have a slowing area around the Necron Lord, which is good, but there are better alternatives. The one skill you always want to get is the phase shifter. Not only does it phase shift himself, making him basically immune to all forms of damage. He cannot attack, of course. He also increases his regeneration by 10 HP per second, and now comes the big kicker. It only works for nearby units, like the builder scraps and buildings as well. There's no visual indicator, but if you stand, let's say, next to a turret or a generator, it cannot be killed. So that is one of the many reasons why you always want to get a phase shifter. That's, no matter what you say, this is better, the phase shifter is the best ability you can get from this Forbidden Archive, and you always want to get it. Then you have 2 very interesting ones that are, let's say, place 3 contenders. You have the Lightning Field, which basically gives him a little Thorns aura, so that melee units take damage if they attack him, and it charges up a ability, which is basically also this icon over here. And if he got attacked for enough, basically you can charge and use it. You can use it even before it has fully charged, but the damage scales really well, so it's best used in the maximum amount, and you can target on the ground and it will deal quite a big damage in like this area to any unit, including buildings. And you can take down with it buildings, for example, also very well. That's generators and all the good stuff you want to bash with them. The next one is the John Cena beam, the Solar Pulse. Solar Pulse is also very good in the sense that you can, I will actually use it. You put it down, and all enemy ranged units cannot fire. Melee is okay, but range not. You can think of it similar. no, not the Dark Swarm, but yeah, you cannot fire while you're in it. Necron units can fire, and it also reveals unit in this area around it, so it has some detection capabilities with it. You normally do not use it for detection, but sometimes it's useful to know that it also helps to detect stuff. Then you have the, I would say the second best after the phase shifter is the Phylactery. The Phylactery is a passive thing that decreases range damage the Necron Lord takes, and also increases its regeneration rate. So basically, you always want to have the Necron Lord around. You do not want to rebuild him. You always want to have him around. So this helps to keep him alive. This reminds me of something I want to tell you after this. Then you have the Resurrection Orb. Many casual players, I call it, swear on that, because if Necrons die, they leave these bodies around over here, for example, and you can use the Resurrection Orb to revive them for quote-unquote free. It's tier 3, I think, and takes a whole lot of resources to get. In casual play, can it be game-changing? In competitive play, near to useless. And yeah, the next ones also, because they are like tier 3 or something, it's very late in the game. You will have your loadout before, because you want to have the biggest impact early on, because if you lose early on, you cannot make use of it later on. You have the Veil of Darkness. Friendly units near the Necron Lord become infiltrated, including himself. You see, they are, and it's always active. It's not toggled. It basically makes you and your whole army around invisible. Can be very good, especially in, let's say, casual play. And then you have the Nightmare Shroud. Yeah, basically he can use it similar to the Core Knight Marines and CSM. Basically terrifies units around and they will run away from him. Not very useful in the most circumstances. So basically to put it down, most useful thing is the phase shifter, second most useful is the phylactery, and then it is a contender between lightning field. If you have like big melee opponents, then you can this be your thing of choice, and the solar pulse if you have ranged opponents. One last thing about him before we talk about these symbols over here. If you kill him, the corpse will stay here, and if you rebuild him, it takes a while to register, he will resurrect in place. So this can be a good thing, this can be a bad thing. The good thing is that he will be right back in action. The bad thing is that if he is surrounded by enemy fire, as soon as he is up, he will already take a whole bunch of damage. Another little concept that is here, if you get your monolith upgraded, he increases in HP. His maximum HP increases. In vanilla it used to be that you could get the upgrades on all the monoliths and it will increase the HP of the Necron Lord. It says here, further increases the power of the Necron Lord and Flayed Ones, increases the power of Necron Lords, and so on and so forth. If you have all them upgraded, it will all stack in HP and you would have unimaginably high Necron Lord and Flayed One HP. I think it was changed that it only applies once, so only your maximum upgraded monolith will how should I say, count. So now really to the last thing, he can transform into big demon units, or like it's the Catan gods. You have the Nightbringer, which I will not use here because you can have only either or. Nightbringer is a big dude with a size that is invulnerable, and Leech is also life, so all the life he got back he will also have then when he transforms back to the Necron Lord. And the big one that is normally the go-to thing is the Essence of the Deceiver. You will see he will transform to it. The Deceiver has some really nasty tricks on the sleeves. His base attacks confuse enemies so they will attack each other. That on itself with this range is quite useful. He can teleport, he can summon an illusionary Necron Monolith, which does not do any damage, but has a lot of HP and has big knockback. So this is basically for what you use it. The last one is the Deceive. This is basically a area of effect ability around him that will, you can't see it because there are no units around it, they will turn to your side for a limited amount of time. There's this gentleman's rule that if you take over these squads, you will not simply delete them. So that's a timed effect, so they will go back to your opponent. So a cheesy way to use it, that you get a lot of units and then delete all of them. I'm always the guy, if it's in the game you can use it, but I can also see that is a gentleman's agreement to make it not too bad or too good. There's also like the thing, if he turns back to the Deceiver and this one times out, okay, it will explode. But there's some bug, I think in vanilla already also, if you, I don't know, if this times out, there's some shenanigans where this will not despawn. So there's also the gentleman's agreement that you will kill it off by your own. So there's, you see some wonky stuff happening with him. To all the other commanders you have access to the Dynasty, we'll talk later on. You also talk about the Builder Scarabs over here. I was jumping on the Lord here, but yeah, the most valuable unit, next to the Necron Lord maybe, is the Builder Scarabs. The Builder Scarabs are limited to 4, they are free and can also reinforce for free. And they are so important, they have many things going for them. First, it is the only unit in the Necron roster that can cap. So you are bound to have them and cap, and also decap. There are other units that can decap, but Builder Scarabs are the only unit that can cap. They have good sight radius, they can detect, so this is also your tier 1 detection. And also scout. Necron is one of the few factions that can relatively early scout with not a lot of investment, because you always want to have these Scarabs around, and they can also act as a decapping unit. So you can come in and maybe get a cheeky decap and stuff like that. So yeah, you always want to have the maximum amount of 5 Scarabs around and want to have them reinforced as much as possible. Yeah, basically, yeah, if they're not busy building more generators, they can follow your army around for detection and scouting, reconnaissance, capturing. So you will always have some uses for them, and this also makes like the difference between good and very good Necron players is how they use their scarabs. You always want to have one scarab next to your army or behind your army to be able to decap and stuff, or maybe detect, and so yeah, good players will use it well, not so good player, not so much. Okay, this now brings us to the infantry, and there's like the bread and butter unit are the Necron warriors. They are free to build but not free to reinforce. So you can get a squad of 3 for free, but then you need to pay some power to reinforce. They have an interesting concept of their production time. I have a little graph or multiple graphs for you over here. Their production time is also dependent not only how much squads you have, but also how much models you have. So if you want to mass them, you normally want to get, you see it also there, the squads out, singular, like 3, the middle graph is that, and then start to reinforce, because the reinforcement time is not increased. It's only the production time from the HQ. So if you want to mass them and can afford to not reinforce them right away, build them and then reinforce them all together. So that's the concept of their production time. You always want to have these, at least 2 in tier 1, even more if you can. And you can always leave them on Overwatch because they are free to build, so you can leave them on Overwatch, and if you want to tech or do something else, you simply cancel it. You do not lose anything, and then produce what you want to produce. So as I said, they have 2 upgrades. That's why they're glowing green. They do not glow green in the beginning, but with their first upgrade they begin to glow green, because then it increases their range damage and also their range in general. Like most Necron units, they have this ability, which is the Necron summoning. It's enabled by tier 1.5 by the summoning core. This enables you to get back to any Necron building, including the turret. No, the turret's not, because they can be built anywhere. But okay, anything else you see is a valid target. And yeah, basically, even as these obelisks, you can come over here and be over here. So that's the concept, that you do not move out before you have this ability enabled, because then you can go out about the map. They are in that sense more mobile than Death Guard. So you can be aggressive, and then if the enemy attacks you, you will pull back your whole army or half of your army back to your base and defend, and then can move out again. So that's that. And they have also one special weapon, the Gauss Reaper, which is locked behind tier 2.5, which is basically a shotgun kind of unit. Weapon, some mild AoE but good knockback. So price is affordable, so I would say if you play Necron Warriors in tier 4 and tier 2.5 still, you might as well get these weapons on them. So this is the Necron Warriors. You have 2 more units in tier 1. The first one are your flayed ones, these dropping the blood over here, so they have skin of living beings around them, and that's their trait. They reduce enemy morale around them passively. Every model does, so this stacks. They are self-morale immune and are a melee superiority unit. They are really good in melee, only can use melee but are really slow. Very durable. You can also use the Necron summoning, and how you use it, you produce it in your HQ, and then they are in your HQ, and you can deep strike them where they will crawl out of the ground. Basically, while they are crawling out of the ground, they will be targeted, but they are invulnerable. When they stand, now you can target them. Before if you have the micro, try to target something else until they are out of the ground. Very slow, as I said, they're good against other melee units to break their morale and kill them. Basically, very good in tier 1 because they're all very durable. They also increase in HP with the upgraded model, similar to the Necron Lord, to get more durable throughout the game, so they are at least useful in tier 2 as well. Very useful for, let's say, prolonged tier 1.5 pushes where you just steamroll the enemy with more and more corpses, basically. And the last tier 1.5 unit is the Canoptek Wraith. Wraith are a mobile unit, melee only, can decap and detect, but are mostly used in tier 2 where they get their upgrade, which they have a range damage reduction trait basically, but they also increase that trait by the upgrade, and they have this phase, which is I think also locked behind the upgrade, which is similar but not similar to the Necron Lord's phase. This only affects this unit, and I think and also do not give them regeneration. It's basically just quote unquote just making them invulnerable. Very important if you have taken hold victory against you and want to decap. The decap will not be interrupted if you use the phase shift. So they are very useful. In tier 2, as I said, with the upgrade, which increases their range damage reduction and also their HP, I think, and giving them the phase ability, you see a valid strategy in tier 2 to get like an immortal or whatever you want in tier 2, and then just build Wraith like there's no tomorrow, like on auto build, and then swarm the enemy and have like a Wraith at every listening post and be absolutely nuisance to your opponent. In tier 2 you get access to 2 more units. The first one is your Immortals. The Immortals are your anti-vehicle unit, long range anti-vehicle infantry. You see the range is very long, very good anti-vehicle, anti-building capabilities. Aircraft as well, of course. Are very squishy for what they are, can be targeted down very well. They do relatively good in melee damage wise, but they have too low of HP to sustain any longer melee fights. So your kind of glass cannon unit you want to have back, but yeah, can also be teleported back with the Necron summoning and can get Tesla carbines. Tesla carbines give them a small AoE on them, and they deal generally very good damage to infantry blobs then with that. So the cost for it is very justified, even maybe a little on the cheaper side to get these Tesla carbines. Is basically, if you have some Immortals out and have some resources to spare, always get these Tesla carbines. The other tier 2 infantry units is your Deathmarks, your tier 2.5 from your Greater Summoning Core they are built. They also can, of course, use the Necron summoning. They are sharpshooters, more used basically against infantry and commander units. They have a trait on their weapons that they will mark the enemy. You can even mark vehicles. I'm not sure if you can mark buildings, but you can mark infantry, demons, and vehicles, and they will take increased damage from all sources. So they are very well in conjunction with their Immortals. They have similar kind of range. Let me double check that. So Deathmarks have until there. Yeah, a longer range even, because they're like sharpshooters. And go very well with your Immortals, because Immortals are long range, high damage to certain targets, and these amplify this high damage even more. They have a funny little ability which is called the Dimensional Translocation, which makes them invisible and move really fast for a short amount of time. This basically enables them to, let's say, if you build them, use this, go to the front, and if you need to teleport them back, you can teleport them back with Necron summoning, giving them quite a mobility. Even on large maps they can get to the point where you want them really fast. So kind of like you could deep strike them in a way. This is your tier 2 units, and in tier 3 you get access to a few more units. You get the Pariahs. Pariahs, like lore-wise, are humans turned into Necron units, whatever, I don't know. They have some range capabilities, but they shine in melee, where they have this ability that they reduce the maximum health of the entity they attack. Every entity, building, infantry, vehicles, demons. And this is mostly important, of course, against single target enemies, because they can reach more stacks basically before they die. And this is basically a lifelong debuff until the model that applied the debuff dies. Then all these stacks get returned. So this is their kind of niche. They're also very good in melee. You see quite a lot of HP, good regeneration, cannot reanimate. However, but yeah, if you're tier 3, you get those guys all the time basically, because they're so good. Especially, as I said, against single target entities. Vehicles normally can drive away from them, but let's say big demons, melee focused demons like the Bloodthirst or so, this is a valid counter to them. The other units in tier 3. Yeah, these have the best voice of the Scorpack Destroyers. Bleed. So they have the little stutter on them, but like a little, because they're like little mental machines. They are very fast for Necrons, very durable, very high damage, but melee only. Have a Hyper Phase Reap Blade, which increases the damage output against demons and morale, only 1 per squad, however. And they have this little single-minded focus. They get uncontrollable, but get high damage output with them. So if you activate it, you see I cannot control them anymore. They will attack freely units around them, and yeah, you cannot also not reinforce them, as you see, so yeah, you can use it, but they get absolutely mental with it basically. Another tier 3 unit, because they are summoned specially, I will talk about how they are summoned once we add it, is the Ophidian Destroyer, which is basically a Canoptic Wraith on steroids, has more HP, the phase shift it has, and you see even some more weapons on it. Still can detect and decap, so I have noticed, hopefully told you that the Canoptic Wraith and the Ophidian Destroyers are the other two units in Necron roster that can decap. There's one special unit in tier 4, which is your Tri-Arc Praetorians. Very heavy weights units. They get summoned also in a special way from a tier 4 unit. And yeah, they can jump. They cannot teleport, but they can jump. Good in melee and range, but yeah, just if you are tier 4, get those lads out. They can be very, very useful in any fight you have. I mean, if you go tier 4, you get all the tier 4 bonuses, of course. So this is the infantry. Now about the vehicles. And vehicles are special that in most vehicles to them are not traditionally like tracks or wheels. These are all these floaty vehicles. They start to emerge in tier 2. The first unit you can get is one of these destroyers. I think, yeah, the Locust Destroyer. Basically like one of these skimmers. Has a melee attack, which is relatively weak, but as it can tie down into melee, which is the big kicker here, and can also tie down enemy ranged in melee. So it has this option as a downside and upside. Yeah, very good against infantry. Can jump once, so you can jump them in the backside and stuff like that. Yeah, you also have access to the Tomb Plate in tier 2.5, which is a more or less anti-everything, but more specialized against demons. Has same HP but a different armor class. These are vehicle med, this is vehicle light, so you would say, oh, it's very squishy. It kinda is, but it has this passive trait that it sometimes ignores damage that comes in, so this is kinda how it balances out in the end. Yeah, it's a good complementation to the Locust Destroyer for some more range in what they can deal. There's basically your quote-unquote autocannon, good against everything but not good against one thing. Maybe I go by the unit types basically, so we are in this little here. In tier 3 you get access to the Locust Heavy Destroyer. This is your anti-vehicle destroyer. Basically not good against infantry but very good against vehicles, buildings and aircraft. Really long range, can also jump and has a melee attack, but other than the Locust Destroyers, this melee attacks really hurts. So you can actually use it in some circumstances to melee enemies down, or even if like melee units will come in and try to melee it can fight back really well. And in tier 4 you have the Locust Lord Destroyer. Notice it has commander armor, that's an up and downside, has lower HP because of that. And you see that it has like the phylactery and stuff. This is a special unification upgrade in tier 4 which makes this unit more useful. It has then more HP, some range regeneration, range damage reduction and regeneration. Can jump as well and has two special abilities. One is the Stasis Field, which is an AoE stun, a very good stun. And it's very good combined with possess enemy vehicles. It can possess enemy vehicles that are not Titans or Relic units. It can be circumvented by the enemy killing it, so you will see it be initiated in like PvP at some point, and good players will see it and then delete your vehicle at the last possible time, because it's better to delete your vehicles than to give it to your opponent, of course. There's a maximum of 2 Locust Destroyers, and even you cannot build more. Like if they are in a vehicle, they still count as the Locust Lord Destroyer, so you can maximum take over 2 vehicles with them. So now we talk about the little spiders over here, and these spiders have some special things going on for them. The Tomb Spider over here is enabled in tier 2, has 2 like these claws in the beginning, but one claw can be exchanged by this particle projector, making it a this particle projector deals good damage, I think, against more or less everything. It states only infantry and heavy infantry, but yeah, limited effectiveness against vehicles and buildings. It does similar damage actually to a Locust Destroyer, so it can be used at range but also good in melee. It can summon scarabs. We will see, I will talk about the scarabs later, but if you summon it you will lose some HP on those. I will talk about the scarabs later, so we can actually kill these over here. And it has one special capability, which is harvest bodies. I have told you that there are some bodies around from the Necrons. I have them prepared over here. If you kill them, the bodies will stay around, can be reanimated by, let's say, direction orb, but also can be harvested by these tomb spiders. And we see that these body counts go up, and then you can summon Necron warriors, flayed ones, or immortals with them. And they do not cost you any resources. And the neat part about them, if you, let's say, play late game or like a PvE, you can get a few more squads even over your normal unit cap. So if I say I would have 2020 by now, I could still summon an immortal squad or Necron warrior squad over the cap to have even more infantry out. So this is a little nice utility, and the utility on it is really good. If you have a prolonged fight somewhere where you're losing models left, right and center, send in the tomb spider, harvest some bodies and get some free immortals. For example, here you see, do not cost any resources and not any health on the tomb spider. It only costs quote unquote the bodies it collected. In tier 3 you have access to the Canoptech spider, and yeah, the spiders are similar to your Necron Lord. If you kill them, yeah, they're limited to 3, so yeah, if I kill them quickly, they start around your HQ like lying around, and if you rebuild them, one of them should be, yeah, this now gets up and gets used, and now one of the others should get up. Yeah, so they are similar to the Necron Lord. So is also the Canoptech spider over here, your tier 3 spider. Can also summon scarabs, but these are your scarabs, vehicle scarabs on the floor. Can also harvest bodies and summon special units. So this is a little UI bug we have over here, that some way slipped through. It will be fixed in the next version. It cannot summon the same. It cannot summon these Ophidian destroyers. These here. The only way to get them is via the Canoptech spider, and then it can also summon death marks. And these summoning death marks is like in two ways good. A, because as I said to you earlier, you can go over the actual unit cap, but you can also go over the actually cap of the death marks. Normally these death marks are capped by 2, limited to 2. With this ability you can go over this limit. There's no way to actually get around it, because these summons ignore everything. They ignore limits, they ignore squad cap and whatnot. But the body count you need is like 10 bodies for Deathmark, which is quite a lot of bodies to get for one unit. So you will not get like 20 Deathmarks with it. Yeah, let's quickly get the scarabs out of the way. I showed you how to summon those. These scarabs, these are like melee vehicles in squads, so they are very limited in the use. Relatively cheap, can swarm your enemies, but yeah, generally not really good. If there's anything that deals AoE damage, these will die really easily. If you have like enemies that have like long recharge time single target weapons, these can be good, because there are 15 entities that needs to targeted down one by one, so there can they shine. And then you have your only vanilla aircraft units, which is your attack scarabs in the air. Have the same issue in that they are squishy, can get stuck on things, and yeah, mailing down enemy aircraft is similarly difficult, like mailing down enemy vehicles on the ground. So very limited in use. This was the one and only vanilla aircraft unit for Necrons. So basically every faction needed to have an aircraft, and for Necrons they couldn't think of anything better than those, basically. Okay, so this is your more let's say bread and butter units, and later in the tech tree you have some other big stuff. The last thing that is available relatively early on is the Ghost Arc, which is the only transport unit Necrons have. They can transport not vehicles but infantry, of course. I think except flayed ones. Or can they? Yeah, flayed ones cannot be transported, but every other Necron unit. No, those cannot, but yeah, pariahs can. These wraiths even can, okay. Immortals, yeah, everything can be transported by it, and it's not only it is relatively fast, it can also jump. So this is also another ability, and it's not just a regular jump. It is like the jump from the Dark Eldar Raider, which decreases enemy morale when they land, and it can also phase shift to make it immune, and can also harvest bodies. So very big utility in this Ghost Arc. Relatively expensive though, and limited to 1. It's like 250, which is on Necron standards relatively expensive, and by itself not really good in the damage department. Does it has a base attack? I think it has. It says that these sides get mounted if the units are inside. Quickly check if they. What's the base weapon? Oh, it doesn't fire on its own. That's interesting. I thought it would. Quickly get some death marks over here. Can we stop? Ah, it. I have it on does not fire mode. It does fire. So now does it fire more if we have some? They cannot fit in because they are too fast. Quickly see if these guys. No, they fire on its own. So it's not like they would like a chimera or something. Death marks are in the way. Quickly see if it does fire more. I do not think it does. Come on. Transports. Transports are weird. I do not even know how these guys in PvP use these transports effectively. I always get these situations where they do not want to get in. Oh, come on. This is embarrassing. There we go. Now jump over here and see if it fires more. I do not think so. It has so many mechanics in it. Oh, what does it? It seems to fire more. No. No. Okay, it's a good unit nevertheless. So, this is tier 2.5, and all the other stuff you see here is tier 4 and onward. And you have this other arc unit, this Doomsday arc. Tier 4 unit can also jump, but it has one big cannon in the front, which is your anti-titan unit. Does very good damage against any vehicles. It says buildings and demons, so yeah, because they're also demonic titans, so really good against them. Relatively fast, of course, but has this ability, the high power output, which increases the damage of the weapon, but decreases the movement speed by a hell of a lot. So basically, get in range, hope that the enemy does not go away, or if the enemy has no ability to go away, activate this and then shoot, shoot, and shoot. You cannot even jump in this mode. Another tier 4 unit that's really nice, really good, is the Annihilation Barge over here. Has like these big units on the top, weapons on the top, weapons on the side. Tesla cannons can be a switch from the base weapons. It has relatively slow. And it's okay. It's like a tier 4 tank, you can think of it, but it can jump. So very, very good. And also says it has quantum shield generator pre-installed for increased durability. So there's maybe some passive range damage reduction also in place. Your relic unit is your restored monolith over here. I have talked about it earlier, how you get it. It's basically your monolith turns into this. This is some shenanigans because I have this build fast mode activated. It can teleport 2 times, can build stuff in the field, has good range and damage, big disruption with the main cannon on top, has this little side sponsors here as well, but can be killed relatively easily, more easily than you think because it's really, really slow. It can also be stunned by anything that can stun vehicles, so this is more meant to be used your support unit you have behind your main force. It is not your main force. You will not kill enemies just with the restored monolith. They will laugh at it, they will swarm it, they will kill it. So use it as more or less a support. The other tier 4 unit you have access to is your Doom's Size, your flying croissant it's called. It is your flyer, has some good damage on it, but it has once this upgrade, this interdimensional link, which increases the HP and damage output of it, and then it can also summon these Triarch Praetorians with losing some HP to it. And this is the only way to get these Triarch Praetorians out on the field, is by summoning from the Doomsday Arc. Yeah, very good aircraft all around. Limited to 1. Lastly, your Titan units. You have a tier 1 Titan, which is your Serap Tech Heavy Construct. Very good in ranged and melee. You see on the damage values it's good in melee, but yeah, having late game units in melee, it's sometimes better to have it in ranged. Yeah, big damage, big HP, very good unit. And no special abilities. Oh, it has a small chance to reanimate. So this is one of the few vehicles that can reanimate, and it's the Titan. So if you have bad luck, you kill one, it can sometimes return. Not sure if it's like if you have another one. No, you cannot have another one in queue. So yeah, there you go. In a tier 2 Titan is this very slow floating ionic orb. Yeah, very good damage in ranged. It's like, I think the lore, it has like a star inside or something. Yeah, it has this solar flare. Basically, initiation allows a maximum of 4 solar flare shots after the solar burst become available again. So yeah, this becomes unstable if you use it. It will then open this, I think, or something. But yeah, it has more range here also. Does it take this? Maybe it is not in range or something. Yeah, so this is a timed ability that makes this the damage higher. Can you now attack this? No, it's so slow. Okay, not really sure what is going on with that, but yeah, this ability increases its damage output. Yeah, very slow as you can see, but can teleport. So similar usage to your stored monolith. Keep it behind your army to support and deal damage. So before we now go, let's say, to the campaign units, we have a whole bunch of Dynasty to talk through. And for that, I want to invite our Necron Lord over here. Where is he? To come over here and jump into the pyramid, and then we will basically, go. I will get a Dynasty, then reload here, get another Dynasty. So we have all the Dynasty units one after another. We will start in this pattern. We start with the Swordtech Dynasty. Yeah, you see also the how should I say, mechanic that he's once exchanged for free. This time for Imhotep the Stormlord. If he gets killed, you need to rebuild him with 500 power, which is really expensive. I think you can turn it back, but that's not really good for you. They also get each a Lich Guard kind of unit. This Lich Guard for Imhotep is these Lich Guards with shields. They have a range damage reduction capability if they if a unit is attached to them, really good at melee. Can also use these Necron summoning to get back, but if they are attached with him, okay, yeah, it gets overwritten. He cannot jump with them anymore, which is a good thing. He can also jump to allied stuff to them, or he can jump on its own. He has an improved lightning field ability. Basically, yeah. Strikes vehicles and buildings, attract more. So I think it does not need to be charged. You can just deal big damage on it. Yeah, there you go. Very big damage in a relatively high area. It got reduced in the past because it's really a big thing. Doesn't need to be charged. There's a small chance, it says, that it does more damage. Not sure if this is only flavor text or if it's actually true. All these variants have also some passive abilities. For Imhotep, it's like the Relentless March. All troops will move faster, granted strength. All troops gain increased weapon accuracy and damage. And then you have also the Hyperlogical Strategist. Cannot be pinned, so he cannot be stunned and stuff. And all of these can summon also stuff. These summons require you would have tier 4 and the research for the Catan gods, like the Deceiver and stuff I showed you earlier. Then you can summon a Void Dragon. 3 of these can summon the Void Dragon, which is a limited amount of time, melee superiority, big demonic unit. Does not have any, I think, special stuff on its own. It is really just really tanky and good in melee. Costs a hell of a lot of resources and is time, so you might want to use it basically as a last resort if you are on PvE, if you want to have it around for some time. Imhotep in general is one of the go-to units in PvP if you go for the Dynasty, because his storm ability is so good and his passives are also very good, and not stating that his Lich Guard is very good, and he himself is also quite the chat in melee. So yeah, that's one of the go-to Dynasty. So now I will quickly load again so we can get the second Dynasty. And here we are again. I also killed the Ionic Oak, so we have not this humming in the backside. I already put our Lord back in, and now we get the Pyra Tomb World Allegiance, where we get Anakir the Traveler and his go to units the Freerian Eternals, which is our basically Immortals on steroids. Just look at them with their fancy capes and blue stuff, so really good. And yeah, it's also the Honor Guard, so that he can attach to them. He can teleport. He has some abilities. He can use this Tycoon Arrow, which is a single target ability against enemy anything basically. Can be also very useful against enemy buildings. You can snipe out turrets and just some really good damage even to enemy HQs. It has the superior phase shift. Unveil the target. He appears shadowy refraction. Blah, blah, blah. Is this orders the flow of time to doubling his physical traits, move and regeneration. Okay. So he gets improved regeneration and moves faster. We will see it in the chat in a second. And we have Mind of the Machine. That's I need to read it because there are so many abilities on these Pharaohs. I do not really know all of it. If you want to have some more detailed overview about the dynasties, you can check up the wiki. There's also some detailed stuff. You can use this. His connection with the machine spirit and vehicle directly almost empathic, where ability is able to temporarily take control over an enemy vehicle arrangement. While active, the machine spirit vehicle will turn its weapons against its own allies, and so on and so forth. So it's a target, short amount of time enemy control of a vehicle. Let's quickly check the phase shift. Does not work on allies, but he gets faster on it, so that's interesting. And he can summon the Burning One, basically. Burning One is another one of these Catan kind of gods. It has ranged attack. It doesn't state like a whole lot, but it is good. And it has AoE damage around it. So you can micro him in range so that the enemy will burn, basically. Lastly, I will check if he will attach to those. Yeah, he also will have the Necron summoning and not a teleport on its own, which is, as I said, probably a good thing. So this is this dynasty out of the way. Now jump to the next one. And here we go with the next dynasty. It's the Novok Dynasty Allegiance. It gives you access to Galmark the Moonkiller, and, which I really like, is the Veteran Pariahs, which is so basically Pariahs but better, with the same passive traits with the health degeneration, maximum health reduction and stuff of them, but looking cooler with the capes, more HP, more damage, really nice units. And then you have himself, the Moonkiller, has like 4 weapons on him, so he's quite a melee superior unit, no ranged capabilities. Can summon a Sentry Pylon, which is not the same unit as a Pylon, I think, or is it? Sentry Pylon. It looks slightly different and can be summoned anywhere. It costs less resources and has a little more HP, but yeah, you need to have him in particular. He can also jump and can use Mars Resurrection. Which is interesting because you do not, basically if you have a Necron Lord with some different loadouts, you can still have him. You can have either or. If he dies, you can build the Necron Lord again. And so I can actually show how it works with corpses. This summoning also, it states, surpasses the squad cap. So if you have some squads around that died, does it still work on them? Yeah, it does. So this is a Necron warrior squad that I have killed off earlier, so now they are back up again. And if you have squad cap with it, it does not care. Lastly, he can summon the Crimson Guard over here. The Crimson Guard is a melee, it has some range, but it's melee focused unit. Drop some blood on it. Does it have a ranged attack? It does, okay. I forgot what it does. Ah, yeah, morale drain around him. So just looking at it, it's like the Flayed One's blood bigger, basically. So yeah. And all of these are really good in damage wise and also HP wise. So yeah, another Catan god for you. So this is Galmark the Moonkiller and his retinue. Also interested in what happens if he gets attached to them, because they do not have a jump. Okay, his jump gets disabled. So it is one of the things that was an issue earlier on, that you could jump with your troops around. That's got fixed, so they are not as deadly. Before it was like Emotech, you get your Lich Guard, get him on the Lich Guard, teleport to the enemy HQ, kill everything with his AoE ability and be absolute nuisance because you cannot kill him. now it's a bit better. Okay, now the next dynasty in a second. And here comes the next dynasty. It's the Nefrek Dynasty Allegiance. which has one of the coolest Pharaons, if you ask me, which is Sylphek the Celestial. It's basically a big guy on his little chair here, on his wheelchair kind of, but it's another Annihilation bot. So we have the regular Annihilation bot over here, but this is available in tier 3, mind you, so this is very nice. He's big, he can jump, but he has no other special abilities. And his little pet you can get, it's the Canoptek Tomb Stalker. It's basically a big old stalker over here. Not sure, does it have I think it can, there's a small chance to reanimate, right? The Necron damage bodies can sometimes utilize reanimation. So this is another one of these vehicles that can reanimate, but in generally pretty mean unit. Look at these claws. Jesus Christ. And yeah, he can summon one special thing. I really like what he can summon. An obelisk. It's not like your monolith over here, it's an obelisk. It can move around. It cannot build. It has similar lower attack ranges. But I like one special thing about it. You notice the deep strike ability. The summon is actually, on what it does, one of the weaker ones you can have. And it depends on the other ones. But can you please get in here? This game sometimes with the transports. There's like one model that needs to touch it so that the whole squads get in. Yeah, there you see. And then you can use it to deep strike your flayed ones, even whenever you can do it. It's a little niche thing that you will never see really used. When you go for him, you would normally see it in tier 3 with him. And there's a little pet over here and win at that point and not later on. So yeah, that's about him. I'd also like these shield generators that the normally barge has, so there's some damage resistance maybe going on. So he's not commander, but he's vehicle armor, so that's also sometimes a downside. Now we go on to the second to last dynasty. And here we have then the name's Mynarch Dynasty Legend, which is one of the coolest Pharaons, if you ask me, which is her Xunbakir, the Mother of Oblivion, one of the best voiceovers they have also here.
Do not waste my time or I'll make it very painful indeed. I am the goddess of death.
She's really nice. She has can teleport, of course. She has some passive abilities, dominance, presence. Any troops around get their morale reduced. Troops never lose resolve, so they are morale immune, kind of, around him, or morale regeneration. Or the last one is that is hardened. The structural integrity of Necrodamus is hardened, whatever this actually means. She is the only one that is actually better used in ranged. Very long range, the range damage is higher than her melee damage. Can use this arrow against enemy units, similar to one of the other Pharaons we have talked before. So she can use this arrow, can teleport, of course, and can summon also the Void Dragon, which is similar to what the first dynasty also could. And then you have these Corner Lich Guard, which are similar to the other Lich Guard, but more offensively orientated. They are gifted with the highest quality living metal damages, bodies, and advanced reanimation protocols, of course. War size for middle to melee weapons that inflict damage and cripple opposing troops, so maybe some slow, as it reads. Have these summoning around, which is overwritten. It overrides the teleport, of course, of her. So that's this. Now we will see the last but not least dynasty in a second. And now we talk about the last dynasty. I haven't chosen it by mistake. This is the Nihilak Dynasty Allegiance, which gives you access to Trazyn the Infinite and his Lich Guard, the Crypto Thralls. The Crypto Thralls, what they are, they have very high reanimation protocols, so regeneration never fails them. So they are really high on what they regeneration stuff. Minor range support, so they have some range support, bodyguards, artifact collectors and stuff like that, protector masters. So his Lich Guard isn't the greatest, but he himself is really nice. He can also summon the Void Dragon. His passives can never be mind controlled himself, and if you own a map relic, the cost of summoning of Trazyn is halved. Oh, that's interesting. Never have I Red Dead. So if you have a relic on the field, you can have him easier because he wants to collect it. So this is how his idea of this in lore is that he's the collector, like the isn't like the collector in the Marvel series as well. Think of him as this guy. He can teleport. He can use this Tesseract Labyrinth, which slows units around him, I think. The Construct Trail.
Can you show me something interesting?
I think that was something trap in. Blah blah blah. It traps all enemies within its fold. There's no escape. Keep them. Okay, stun around it. So it can be killed if there's outside of this, but it can be killed. And then you have the host. Basically makes a little copy of himself. This one here. It can only attack. It's relatively slow, but it has the cool thing. If he dies, he gets there. So if he dies, he takes place over. And there's the last ability. You have already noticed it. I choose you. So there's a special couple of victory conditions, the Trazyn's Pokeballs and Master Balls, which enables him to summon, it's not random, an assortment of units. And it's all about he wants to collect all the stuff. So basically the lore explanation behind this is that if you can use this to summon one of his units that are in stasis held in his collection, basically. It's a little made fun because of Pokeballs. So you can use it once every, I don't know, quite a long time. And this time it also summoned like the Tau Commander. There's totally a number of 36 variants you can summon. I have gone through the effort to look them all. You will now see on the screen cycling through some of them because I made them a little Pokedex style. Trazyn's Pokedex you can download it on my drive, of course. And there are some stuff to it. In the top right of these you see like a normal Pokeball or a Master Ball. For the Master Ball thing is you want to have the second victory conditions enabled as well. It is okay, I think, in normal skirmish to have the first one with the Pokeballs enabled because it cannot summon the Tau Commander, for example. This is a Master Ball unit. But only tier 3 units from other factions mainly. So sometimes even tier 1 or tier 4, tier 2 units. And it has quite a lengthy cooldown, costs 100 power, and yeah, normally doesn't change the game. They can also not be reinforced, cannot add new weapons, and if they die, they die. So yeah, there you go. This is one thing. I cannot actually have a save game for all of them because, so be aware of that, you cannot save and load a file where you have summoned a thing. There's also one of 4 special units, the last ones, I maybe show it here in the end. That is stuff from a faction that may or may not be added later in development, which is Malice. I'm not sure what actually status on that is. There was some progress made on it, but then also not sure if they are still considered. But you can get Malal, for example, and there are some more niche units you can add in it. And yeah, so the general idea is that it will get a random number between 1 and 8 for one of the 8 base factions, and then it will roll a number from 1 to up to 5 depending on the faction to get one of these units out. So basically that's the numbering behind it. And then the 9 is only enabled if you have like the Master Balls, for example. Then there are some additional units in the Master Ball. Yeah, so I think I had enough time now to cycle through some of these, maybe even all, depending on the time. Let's see how I changed it. If maybe I can show all here. And yeah, total amount, if you want to quote unquote catch them all, there are 36 different Pokemon units he can summon from his stasis. Okay, this was quite lengthy, I have to say, longer than I anticipated. And yeah, we are still not done here. We have some campaign honor guards that I also want to show you. So yeah, see you with the campaign honor guards in a second. And here we have all the campaign honor guard units. Yeah, quickly going through them. We have the builder scarabs that are basically an additional builder scarab squad you start with, and that's a very good kickstart for the Necrons in the campaign, to be honest. I think you can get even 2 of those, so you start off with 3, so can get a bunch of generators right away and stuff like that. They also are not in the cap of 5, so you can then in total get 7, which is pretty decent overall. Then you have these Necropolis Death Touch Guard, basically Necron warriors with better stats, and as you can see, they can immediately get not immediately, but they can get 4 Gauss Reapers instead of only 2. They still require tier 2.5. Then we have these Death Touch Flayed ones. They are also just, in quote unquote, just Flayed ones with better stats. Quickly want to check something. They also apply the health bonus to them. Build another monolith, kill this one to get less health. No, they are not in the same group, so their health stays. And what is good about them, to be honest, is that you can immediately put them in your monolith as you start the map, can scout the enemy and then can deep strike them right away. So this allows you for some really nice rush potential. I think you can also get at least 2 of these in the campaign. Then you have some immortals over here, which are also really nice to have early on to have some anti-vehicle, anti-building rush potential, and you can get, as you can see on all the 4 models, can get Tesla carbine, so they can be their damage output can be absolutely amazing. Then you have another one of these Ophidian destroyers, which is basically the same unit we had in Skirmish, already explained. Some Death Touch Pariah, which is again a Pariah squad with better stats. And then we have some vehicles which are just their normal counterparts of vehicles, but the honor cards of course do not take any pop cap. So we have the Locust Destroyer, a Heavy Destroyer and a Tomb Spider. And the Tomb Spider with the same trait, same weapon, can summon these flying scarabs and stuff like that. All the same basically. Okay, so this is the honor guard out of the way. So we have now covered all the units in game, so we will now, as usual, jump into the tech trees. And here we are on the tech tree documents. As usual, guys, you can download these as PDF files in my Google Drive, which the link is in the description. You see here all the Dynasty units also again, so you see that you can get the Dynasty units right away, but for the Pharaohs themselves, you actually need a greater summoning core. Not that that is a big hindrance, because the pyramid is locked behind tier 3 anyways. But yeah, you see all the Dynasty with the unit and also their Pharaoh over here. The thing is with the tier 2.5 and stuff, like it only requires the greater summoning core, not your tier 2 monolith, so that's why it's here in the beginning, because it really requires nothing but this, to be honest. Then with Trazyn and I forgot who is this, but I think the Moon Killer. You see here that you also can summon these other buildings. Yeah, so that's about it. You can see here in red marked the war gear, which gives you like numerous bonuses. I mean, the Necron Lord on its own in standard skirmish is already pretty amazing, but if you enable these hero war gear, it gets absolutely absurd what he can do, what he can survive and stuff like that. So yeah, I think quickly talking about tier strengths. Necrons start off relatively slow in a game, so like right from the get-go, but can get like rolling in a sense that if you do not interfere with their economy build-up, with their army build-up, they will at some point have this good old infantry death ball of Necron warriors in tier 1 and can support this with flayed ones. So there is like some or a lot of players like to play it like this extended tier 1.5 basically, where you get a lot of Necron warriors, like 3 to 4 squads of Necron warriors with their upgrade, and then add in a flayed ones or 2, get your Necron Lord with the phase shift and some other artifacts going, and then push the enemy and win the game in tier 1.5. This is a valid strategy, can work, but if the enemy can hold, you're pretty far behind in tech. So if you go for more decently timed tier 2, you then need to decide if you go for like the tier 2 units, like with Immortals, get the Wraith upgrade, play with Wraith around, get a second. Where can you get the second upgrade? Okay, you cannot get, but you can get the Necrodermis upgrade and stuff like that. Get the Phylactery for your Necron Lord, so you have a tier 2 army, or you want to quote-unquote skip this and go to tier 2.5, where you have a whole assortment of units like Death Marks, you have Destroyers and Tomb Spiders, you have the second Necron Warrior upgrade, stuff like that. So you have a whole bunch of new options, basically. So in the previous version, where Necrons were stronger than they are now, you normally would go for tier 2.5 because the power spike for them was enormous. The Death Marks were stronger. The, what is it called again? The Tomb Blade was very strong. Also, stuff like that made it so that you always wanted to go for tier 2.5. Now it's more of a personal choice and matchup decider. If it's like, if you want to go for Death Marks and go for a extended big old infantry blob, or if you want to annoy the enemy with Wraith harassment. As I said earlier, they are, with the upgrade, they become actually viable. Before, they are not cost effective for the most part. So you normally see people going in tier 2 and then get them their upgrade, and then you can spam them. I have seen games where they also got a second monolith, where one was only used for spamming Wraith and the second one tagged up to tier 3. Okay, enough of that. Tier 3 is also pretty good in the sense that you have Pariahs and Heavy Destroyers, but also these Canoptic Spider and these guys here. I forgot what they're called again. They are so good. No, this is the wrong name. But yeah, these stuttering dudes are pretty strong. And also another thing, tier 2.5 in the previous version was the point where you enabled the pyramid. This is now tier 3. So your tier 3 is basically get these and get a Dynasty. And a Dynasty is always worth a choice. Even if you do not go for the Pharaoh, just for the cool unit, basically, you can have. Then you can also decide by the unit, like if you want this Tombstalker or another squad of Pariahs, these better immortal Ryan, stuff like that. It depends, because your Necron Lord can do a lot of versatile stuff. These Pharaohs they have their set skill set, basically. So it depends if you want to exchange it right away. But to be honest, getting this old man on his Annihilation Barge wheelchair in tier 3 for quote-unquote free, I mean, you need to build a pyramid, of course, is quite a big thing to have. I mean, the other don't slack either. I really like Xun Bakir, for example. So yeah, in tier 3, it's about the Pariahs, these Destroyers, and Pharaoh, basically. The other, you can, the Canoptic Spider can be really nice to support your infantry blob with more Death Marks and stuff like that. Yeah. So this is your tier 3, also very strong, but not as big of a power spike. I mean, similarly of a power spike than before, because you have these Pharaohs that are such a big thing. In tier 4, you get not only one unit, you get your Relic, your Monolith, you get these Lord Destroyers, which also now can get the upgrade here, which makes them a lot stronger than they were before, just as a combat unit, not as a utility unit, but combat-wise you also get access to the Annihilation Barge. This Doomsday Arc you normally not really need, you need it later if you face Titans, and your Flying Croissant, which is also pretty much a good thing to have, which can also get its upgrade to summon these tier 4 infantry. The Titan tiers, on the other hand, are relatively light. You do not have any other, let's say, super heavies and stuff like that. You have one tier 1 Titan and one tier 2 Titan. So that's basically it for that tier. So to summon up, right away, tier 1.0, basically, like in the beginning of the game, you're relatively weak. This is the phase of the game where you want to be good with Necrons. If you can survive this, it gets basically better and better the longer it goes. If you can survive this early onslaught, if there is some, you can decide for a tier 1.5 push with Flayed Ones, with upgraded Necron Warriors. For decently timed tier 2, where you go for Immortals and Wraith and stuff like that. Or even play a light tier 2 and go for tier 2.5, where you then explode with Death Marks and Destroyers and Tomb Spiders and stuff like that. And even if you manage to get to tier 3, you get all this you have already, which is all by itself pretty good, but then you get these units and also the Pharaoh. So I would say the winning windows for Necrons are tier 1.5. Tier 2, tier 2.5 can also work, and then in tier 3 it's I think also a very strong push you can do. Necrons normally play like in pushes. You push and you succeed or you're not, then you teleport back, and then you collect your forces and go for another push. It's at least if you go for mass infantry. If you go for wraith, this is a different approach, but if you go for mass infantry, this is how it goes. I'm talking too much here actually. Quickly going through the units over here. You see all the abilities of the Pharaohs, which is nice. The Pokeballs are here, which I say go to the Trazyn decks, or the Trazyn Pokeball thingies, which I have also an extra document for. The summons of these big demons and stuff like that. The infantry. I have already also where the reassemble is possible, all marked here, which is also marked for some vehicles. Here the Tombstalker can reassemble, and sometimes this tier 1 Titan. The demonic units, with what they can do with is the Catan summons. And then we have the Honor Guard and bonus units, which we have covered basically all. The only thing in survival you get is another monolith to play around with. So that's pretty nice. But yeah, I think this is basically it for the Techtrees. We will now jump into the build orders, where I have stepped up my game and added a few more variants than I had previously. So yeah, see you in a second. And here we see the build orders. They look a little different than for other factions, because you want to have a lot of generators, of course, because it's the only resource basically. But for people only watching this guide and haven't seen my other guides, basically everything left and up, sometimes I have here some lines, is basically you build right away, and then everything right from it you build after some time if you have collected more resources. So the standard build order I recommend is get all the scarabs, get 2 Necron warriors, the Necron Lord, and then another Necron warrior. All the while you build up 5 generators, which gives you a plus 60 economy, which is a good economy to play around with. Get a summoning core, get 1 upgraded listening post. You normally build these generators next to listening posts, which you can upgrade then to defend it, then tech up. For the most build orders, I have not included a turret, because a turret is situational. If you get rushed, or you have a feeling you get rushed, or if you have a map rushing is prominent and the turret can help you quite a lot, you can go for a turret. There's also the trick that you build a turret up to like 90% and not finish it, and only finish it if you're getting attacked. If not, you can then cancel it and get the full refund. That's also a little trick you can do. So that's why I normally do not have a turret here in these build orders. Then we have the Necron warrior spam, basically, which is, you see, it's more or less the same, but you add, instead of going for tier 2, you add another generator, so you can sustain this army with reinforcements and stuff. So after your third Necron warrior, you go for another Necron warrior or flayed one, and then another a flayed one, basically. I think the PopCap lines up that you cannot have more, so this is how it goes. You want to get the Necron warrior upgrade, you want to have the Forbidden Archive and get the upgrades. As I said earlier in the guide, the phase shift is a no-brainer, and then you decide on Lightning Field or Solar Pulse, depending on your enemy faction. And then either you win with this is the tier 1.5 push, which I have told you in the tech tree, or you fall back, collect some resources, stop the auto reinforcement, and go to tier 2. Then you have a flayed one rush, which is questionable, can work, cannot work. This flayed one rush counters, I would say, greedy tier 2 rushes, for example, or like greedy openers like double generators for Dark Elder and stuff like that, can counter that. You build 3 scarabs, immediately build a summoning core, so that you can then get 1 flayed one. All the while you build up generators, only 4, because more you cannot afford, because you want to have a second flayed one. Because the first flayed one can be focused down, but the second one is when it gets a little dicey for the opponent. You cannot build any more generators for quite a while because you will be busy reinforcing these. So that's why you will add the quote-unquote free Necron Warriors to help defend any possible counterattacks, because there's like this thing, if you say, oh, I get attacked, but you're slow, so I attack your base. You do not want to have to teleport these back if you can, because you want to be aggressive with them. But then come in the Necron Warriors that hopefully can defend this. So yeah, but your goal still will be 5 generators to have a playable economy. The Necron Lord you always want to get if possible. And then get tier 2. Then the Turret Rush, this is more viable actually. This is also a vanilla build. On certain maps you can build turrets pretty well. Blood River, for example, you can build the turret so that you block 2 listening posts, which is nice. This needs some experience though, because the positioning is really important. The Scarabs have higher vision range than most units have out of the gate, so they can scout and then can also build a turret outside of the vision range. So this is where the expertise comes in. If you know the map, if you know the capping patterns and stuff, you can build a turret in a spot where it's not spotted. But once it's built, it denies the points. It is not really like denying the capping of the points, but denying the listening posts, the build-up of the listening posts of the points. You normally, against a good opponent, you cannot really decap points because they will shoot down your Scarabs, but you at least can deny the building up. Again, this one also prompts normally a counterattack to your base, all in against the turret. That's why you see here that I have the Necron Lord pretty early in this queue after the 3rd Scarab to have a mobile unit that can teleport over to the turret and defend it. You will want to leave one Scarab at the turret to be able to repair it, and then have the Necron Lord to help defend it. It's okay if you lose it if you've dealt enough damage in the sense of delaying listening posts and stuff. Don't overcommit in defending it, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Another Scarab, so you have all built the usual 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 generators before a summoning core, and then get to tier 2. You see here, because of the timings, because of the builders, you will be able to get your 3 Necron Warriors later. In the other, you see that you have these 3 Necron Warriors in the beginning, and here you get it last, basically, because you want to have some resources to build up. Early tier 2, there's no real thing like a tier 2 rush, because your economy is way too low if you do not build generators. Basically what you do here, you basically skip, you skip the Necron Lord, basically. This is the whole skip. You only build 1 Necron Warrior, you do not use these to cap stuff, you just build up your economy as fast as you can, build a summoning core as fast as you can, get tier 2. So that's why this is an early tier 2. This is almost like a tier 2 rush, and you already see the issue. You only have 1 Necron Warrior to play around with, and only Scarabs. So very dangerous, because it's not like a rush. You will have quite some time going down, but this is a very early tier 2 where you can then, I don't know, get some stuff, tier 2 stuff out, like Wraith and stuff like that. Would normally not recommend this if you want to have a solid play. Necron Lord Harassment, or Harass, I call it. This can be done, but you see also the issue here. You only build 1 Scarabs to build up your economy, and then the Necron Lord immediately. So this is, for example, depending on the map, can be good on maps where you can jump over right to the enemy base, like Battle Marshes, Heinous Demise. Is it called Heinous Demise? Yeah, Heinous Demise, stuff like that. So there you can make use of your mobile commander and be absolutely nuisance right from the get-go, like killing workers, damaging enemy generators, but also like killing cappers. When they cap, they need to sit down. There can he attack. So being absolutely nuisance. Do not commit to any prolonged fights early on. You can trade some health. That's okay, because you see here, you will get the Forbidden Archives relatively early with the phase shift. So you can recover some health with it. Then you get the usual 3 Necron Warriors, the one of the other upgrades if need be, because you have the Necron Lord anyway, and this one anyway. And then build a defense summoning core and then get to tier 2. And then we have the Echo Boom, which is, depending on the matchup, can work well or not. This is basically, in all the other build orders I have shown, you normally use these scalps to scout, to capture a point and stuff. Here's the top priority to build all the generators, basically. That's the top priority of this all. Then you get, after your 6th generator, you get your summoning core so that it's not too late. Then add, because these generators take forever to build, so then you build the, it's the 7th, I think, yeah, the 7th generator. And this all lines up that you can more or less get tier 2 immediately after you have built all this and all this, because you focus all your scarabs on the economy. In this, you also do not reinforce the Necron warriors. So in the others, you reinforce the Necron warriors at least once or twice to have a little force to fight back or even to be aggressive with. Here, you do not reinforce your Necron warriors until you click the tier 2 button, because then if you would reinforce them, your tier 2 would be so late, and it's not like your tier 1.5 push. You have a lot of economy, but you have no meat, basically. So make use of the economy by getting the tier 2 rolling, and then reinforcing those, and maybe even get the upgrade. So you have the impact in, like, when you hit tier 2, then you have the upgraded Necron warriors that can be supported with immortals, for example. Okay, a lot of talk for the build orders. I have seen so much Necron replays in vanilla and stuff, so I have quite a knowledge pool. It doesn't really help me. I myself am really bad with Necrons, but who is not bad with Necrons is Grindon. Yeah, you have seen it in the past guides quite a lot, but this time he sent me a replay where he played other players, not me. So and he likes to play this this prolonged tier 1.5 kind of thing. I've seen quite some time in some games, and I have a replay where he uses just that build order or similar to that build order, probably not 1-to-1, which I want to show you right now. And here we are on the replay where we see Grindon playing Necrons against Kubini's Chaos Marines. Kubini is pretty solid with Chaos Marines, so this is a worthy opponent. Grindon, I have to say, I wasn't really sure how good he is, but I've seen quite a lot of games of him right now against numerous players, and he's almost in the leagues of, let's say, Number, which is, or was maybe, I don't know, the best player we have. So he can challenge Number, so this just shows how good he is. And you see one thing he does like is to use the first scalp to capture a point, like a contested point in the middle and stuff like that. Sometimes even just going to scout the opponent and maybe get a decap. So he wants to be active with his scalps right away, which is something I normally not do. I prefer to play my own game, play economy and stuff like that, but he plays better than me, so maybe you should do as he does. So you see also that you use, of course, for newer players, quickly pausing, new players tend to bunch up these builder scraps on these generators because they think they build faster. It is better to have one scarab at each, because of course not get all on one, because after the second unit it does not increase the build time anymore. But even if you, let's say, put these two on this one would then build 50% faster, and this would build 0%. So you would have 150% build effectiveness versus 200% effectiveness. So always spread out your scarabs. He goes for all 5 scarabs. This one normally goes to okay, he moves them over. That's also really nice. He uses now this one that has 2 to go over here, and then move them basically forward a bit so that this one is getting faster. So you want to get like the 4 generators, but immediately at some point you want to have your 5th one. There you go. And then you will see he cancels even Necron Warriors and gets the Necron Lord a little early. Now, I normally get 2 Necron Warriors to be able to build my Summoning Core. So, but he prioritizes a fast Necron Lord. So this is like a slight variation. You can see that these build orders are more suggestions. You can have your own little interpretation and nuances to it as usual. So there's no definitive build order you need to go for. Now we have these Raptors. I think these Necron Warriors. Necron Warriors have at least quite a good knockback, but they want to run away. So these Raptors are not there to attack these Builder Scalps, and as soon as they attack Builder Scalps, they can turn again. You see that he also starts to reinforce them because he is in defense mode. if you're not getting attacked, you may as well not reinforce them. Did he cancel the Necron Lord? He cancelled the Necron Lord to get a second Necron Warrior out and to get the upgrade here, I guess. But he floats now quite some resources. I think he could have gotten the Necron Lord like after the second Necron Warrior, as I suggested. So, but yeah, he is more or less in crisis mode. You see he floats some resources, but now gets, as I suggest, after the 5th generator, the Summoning Core. Now you see after the 2 Necron Warriors, he gets actually the Necron Lord and then puts in just Necron Warriors in the chain. Do not think he is planning on finishing those. Now you have the upgraded Necron Obelisk. Oh, and they see it. You see a big knockback on this, doing over 100 damage to him, which is nice. But yeah, I think he kind of baited it, so it's not his Raptors getting it. The cooldown is okay-ish. You want to see and look when you're in defensive mode. Basically, if you can, when you can use it, and then use it as soon as possible, basically. He wants to try to kill the Scarabs that get these Summoning Core, but yeah, even if they die, they can be exchanged. Over here we have an attempted decap. So normally, even if you do not need these points yourself, you at least want to make sure, if possible, to decap those so the opponent get nothing out of it. And if you would have, here the Scarabs are already busy staying alive and stuff like that, you can always send Scarabs to these critical locations and yeah, make some use out of them. Now we have, whoops, camera going wild, 1, 2, and the third one is about, okay, not about. So you see the production time on these get really dicey the longer the game goes. But he has 3 points, which is the minimum you want to play with. You do not want to play with only 2 points. You want to have at least 3. Oh, he has 3. He goes now for the 4th one. So there you go. My mistake. Yeah, 3 to 4 is where you want to play. I mean, you can play with 3. That's the bare minimum. But yeah, see, if you would have less, it's about of a unit cap problem at some point. Now there comes the 3rd Necron Warrior. Yeah, he's upgrading those. There's a Necron Lord attacking some of those. Now, this is also very nice to split off one of these and kill the Listening Post. They have good building damage, and if they are ready here, they can also jump with their teleport over to this and yeah, be good mobile. You see that you also have the Builder Scarabs going out and about. Very useful indeed. But yeah, in tier 1 you want to be careful with your Necron Lord health. You do not want to go in a melee brawl with the Necron Lord, because he can slow and kill your Necron Lord until you have, let's say, the Forbidden Archives in it. There's the first Flayed One squad, so you have, like, as I suggested, 3 Necron Warriors now, 1 Flayed One and probably another one at some point. Yeah, and he more or less, yeah, if he finishes this, he has more or less. Yeah, now even going for the disruption field, very nice. Maybe a little late because some floating and stuff being done. But sometimes you want to decide: do I want to build this or do I want to go to tier 2, stuff like that. Chaos Lord is very low now. He can now actually be focused on by the Necron Lord if need be. But he is busy annoying this infantry so that his Necron Warriors can kill this Listening Post over here. And it's even divide and conquer here. Normally the Necrons are known to bunch up in a big old blob, but you see here that he had always Necron these Builder Scarabs around to scout, to possibly decap stuff. Only maybe here something missing, but yeah, okay, these go over here. Necron Lord here needs to be a bit careful, but there are Flayed Ones, 1 squad already over here. He forgot to reinforce them for now. There's a second Flayed One squad, which is not out yet. Or did one die actually? No, there's one inside, and he soon can also click the tier 2 button. Even with this push, even with all the reinforcement, I think he could. I think it's 340, and yeah, I would really love to click the tier 2 button now. No, he doubles down. A 3rd Flayed One squad is nothing that I would recommend, but he wants to double down. He wants to win in tier 1.5. He does not want to prolong this game any longer, but he could. He could also add the Forbidden Archive. I think that's the only thing he's really missing is a Forbidden Archive here. But other than that, it's more or less exactly my build order with slight adjustments, so it's not exactly, whatever. Chaos Lord over here, now the Flayed Ones in their back. They need to run because they would lose morale otherwise. Yeah, but the thing is they are next to their HQ, which gives them morale regeneration, I think. If I remember. No, health regeneration and enemy morale degeneration, stuff like that. Played ones do not care, they have no morale. Yeah, killing this upgraded listening will be an absolutely hit. And you see Necron is all over the place. If you give them time to breathe and are not decisive enough, they will absolutely run you over with more and more bodies. You see that I was under the impression all these years that an economy should be at, let's say, plus 70, plus 80 to be playable. But humans plus 60 is pretty playable in these circumstances. You could add, now comes these, no tier 2 now. Okay, here comes the Forbidden Archive with the upgrade soonish. He could go tier 2 as well. But yeah, here has all points, decalibering the points in the base. The sorcerers also, there is tier 2, but as the usual, what uses you tier 2 if you have no army to use it? You can get some upgrades and stuff like that. He could also get heavy bolters, I think, but he needs an armory. He doesn't have an armory. Necron Lord bites the dust because he didn't got the upgrades, so that's a little misplay over here. The sorcerer is really mean, but will also die. So yeah, you see, this is the tier 1.5 push. That is really dangerous to play against. Can work, as you see here. And yeah, the question is what you could have done better. Raptors is maybe not the best idea against Necrons. I've seen games where the Chaos Space Marine player is just like marsing normal Chaos Space Marines and just moving like there's no tomorrow. Capturing the map with the cultists, like all these points to get some absolutely insane economy, and then get like 3-4 Chaos Marine squad in the base, Chaos Lord, and just yeah, go ham basically. This is a thing that I have seen that may or may not work depending on the execution and building priorities, of course. But yeah, this game is over pretty much. Yeah, well, that's the Storm. GG. But yeah, Kubini, don't be too sad. It was a nice game I could show here in the guide. So even if you lost, you played okay-ish against this. Yeah, as I said, maybe another strategy would have worked better. But hindsight 2020. Thanks for the game, guys. As usual with these guides, if you have something to add, please put it in the comments. If I have told something wrong and you want to correct me, please also in the comments. If you liked it, in the comments as well. I said it, I think, in one of the last guides as well. These take quite the effort to make, so you can help me motivate doing more of these more quickly, basically, if you leave some nice words in me. If you're feeling like really generous, you could also look under the video if you want to support me in getting a member or stuff like that. So no need, of course, no pressure. But yeah, if you feel so, there are means to support me even more. But okay, enough of that. As usual, guys, thanks for watching and see you in the next video. Bye bye.